What's up, guys? Neil Orfield here, and I'm going to show you how I will be setting up my fantasy cruncher for tonight's showdown slate between the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots. I'll be setting this up for the largest field GPP. First thing I'm going to do is adjust my player pool by getting rid of anybody who does not have a projection. So I'm just scrolling down, sorted by projection, and now I'm going to click and scroll and remove all of these players who do not have projections. This will make it easier for when I'm setting groups later. These players will not be included in the player pool, so I'll just be able to find what I'm trying to do a little bit easier. Okay, looks good. Next, I'm going to hit this captain tab, and I'm going to set an exposure cap on players in the captain spot specifically. Again, this is a matter of personal preference. Changes slate to slate what you want to set this cap at. Some slates you might want to use 100% of one player. I think my most common is setting this at 20%. So I'm maxing out at 20% on each player in the captain spot. I think that'll do it for this main screen for now. Now I'm going to go into advanced options. And the two places I'm going to be working in advanced options are the general tab and the groups tab. Starting here in the general tab, unique players per lineup, I'm going to leave this at the default, which is 1. This means that my lineups can be one player different from each other. If you are making 20 or fewer lineups, maybe 40 or fewer lineups, I would probably set this to 2 unique players instead of 1, just for the sake of diversifying your lineups. Team salary cap, I'm not going to set a minimum. I am going to set a maximum. All I'm trying to do here is avoid the most duplicated lineups. Generally, not every slate, but most slates, the most duplicated lineups are going to use close to that full $50,000 salary. So I'm going to set my cap a little bit lower than that just to avoid those lineups, because if I'm lucky enough to win, I want to win a lot of money. And the best way to do that is to leave a little salary on the table. Offensive players versus defense. The default is set to max players versus defense. I'm going to change that to 5. So that means theoretically I could have a lineup that has 5 players from one team against just the defense of the other team. This is a good example. Maybe the Patriots offense isn't able to do anything against this Bills defense, and you want 5 Bills offensive players, or 4 plus the Bills defense maybe on one side. And then on the other side, the Patriots offense sputters. They don't really put up any fantasy points, but the defense, has a couple interceptions on Josh Allen. Josh Allen's thrown 11 interceptions already this year. Maybe one of them they return for a pick 6, and the Patriots defense ends up being their best point per dollar play. That's a scenario where this could work out, where you have 5 Bills versus just the Patriots defense. Doesn't happen all that often. Also doesn't come up in my lineups all that often, but I do like to allow for it to come up if it projects well enough. I'm going to leave the global exposure cap at 100%. As you saw, I already set the captain cap at 20%. And then randomness, I'm going to use, I've actually lowered this number recently. I think I'm just going to use 30% just for the sake of making it easier for me to get to the exposures I like on various players. The less randomness you use, the easier it is to control your lineups a little bit. So I'm trying to take a little bit more control of my lineups recently. If you want to have even more control of your lineups, I'd recommend probably lowering this even more. Maybe 10% is a good number, where you're still, the program will be working quick enough, but you still have a good amount of control over your lineups. I think 30% is also a good randomness to use if you're using classic randomness. But once again, you can use a lower amount if you want a little bit more control. Minimum projection included in calculation, the default is set to 3. I'm going to leave this at 3. If I want a player in my player pool and they project for fewer than 3 fantasy points, I'm just going to manually adjust them to above 3 fantasy points to get them into my player pool. And then players from each team max, the default is set to 5. I'm going to leave that at 5, so I could have, again, 5 players from one team against just 1 player from the other team. Guys, we have a great offer for new users only. You can get full access to everything Stokastic has to offer for NFL for 3 days free. Projections, ownership, 1v1 tools, lineup generator, top stacks tool. 0 risk because it's all free. So sign up now. The link is in the description of this video. Note that Fantasy Cruncher is an add-on and is not included in this offer. All right, next I'm going to go into the groups tab, and here is where I'm setting groups for the sake of correlation. This is the only place that I work for making correlations within my lineups. And for Showdown, the biggest correlation that I'm concerned about is quarterbacks. Generally, if you have a non-rushing quarterback, you're going to want to have them paired with a pass catcher or two, sometimes three. I'm going to start by making a Mac Jones captain group. Mac Jones does not have a ton of rushing upside, so I'm going to need to pair him with some receivers. So I'm going to find Mac Jones in the captain spot, make him my key player. And then I'm going to make a secondary group of all Patriots pass catchers. So Nelson Aguilar, Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne, Jacoby Myers, Tyquan Thornton, Smith, Jonnu. JJ Taylor's a little bit iffy. Definitely want to include Ramondre Stevenson. He's very involved in the passing game. And there you have it. I've already found all of them. Easier when you remove all the players with no projection. Okay. Now, so I've got Mac Jones in the captain spot. If Mac Jones is the optimal captain, that means he's probably put up a lot of fantasy points. He doesn't have a lot of rushing upside, as I said, so he's probably not putting up a ton of those fantasy points on the ground. Maybe he could rush for a touchdown. Obviously, a quarterback is almost always it's within the range of outcomes that they score a touchdown, but it's rare. I think he has like one rushing touchdown so far in his career through 25 games. He's not much of a rusher at all. So most likely, if Mac Jones is scoring a lot of fantasy points, it's by throwing the ball. And on every passing play, the quarterback is being outscored by the receiver because the receiver gets a point per reception. They also get more fantasy points per yard on the play. And they if they score a touchdown, they also get 6 points instead of the quarterback getting 4. So it would be difficult for Mac Jones to be the optimal captain if he's just throwing, primarily to one receiver the whole game. So typically, if I have Mac Jones in the captain spot, I'd like to have multiple pass catchers from the Patriots in the lineup. Chances are he has had success and he's been spreading the ball around so that none of these receivers becomes the optimal captain instead of Mac Jones. So I prefer to have at least 2 pass catchers from the Patriots if I have Mac Jones in the captain spot. One way to do that, I could just say down here, if any key player used, so that's Mac Jones in the captain spot, use at least 2 players from this group. You could just change this to 2 players. I think that would be a reasonable approach for this slate. I'm actually debating maybe I should just do that. It makes it a little bit easier. What I typically do instead, though, is I just say require 1, but then I also give boosts to these pass catchers. I think I'm going to do that for now. If I see too many lineups that have Mac Jones in the captain, I end up with just 1 Patriots receiver in the flex, I might come back and change this. But if I have a few of those in a 150 set, I wouldn't mind that because, again, Mac Jones could have a rushing touchdown. It's certainly within the range of outcomes that Mac Jones is the optimal captain with just 1 Patriots receiver in the flex. Okay, for now, I'm going to change all of these. I'm going to give everybody a 12% projection boost. And then maybe running backs a little bit less. I have some concern if I leave this at 1, I'm just going to get to a ton of Ramondre Stevenson because he projects by far the best of this group. And then Jacoby Myers projects fairly well. I'm going to try this out. I'm going to do a little trial and error here and see what happens if I just leave this at 1 and give these kinds of boosts. All right. Now, typically, I would make a second group, and that would be the second group that I would typically make is Josh Allen in the captain spot, and I would do the same thing. But because Josh Allen is such a great rushing quarterback, and on top of that, all of his he has several pass catching options that project very well. I'm not as concerned with it. I don't know that I need to make any other groups for Josh Allen. I think that most lineups I'm going to end up with at least 1 receiver from the Bills anyway. 1 pass catching option, I should say, from the Bills anyway. So I don't know that I necessarily need to make that group. I think I'm going to start and try doing a set that does not have any groups for Josh Allen. I'm just going to make Mac Jones group. I am going to make a second group that is Mac Jones in the flex. For now, I'm not going to bother with the Josh Allen groups. I might come back later if the lineups aren't correlating the way I want them to. All right, so I'm finding Mac Jones in the flex, making him my key player. And then same thing, I'm going to add all of these Patriots receivers to the secondary group. And now, because I have Mac Jones in the flex, I can also add all of these Patriots pass catchers in the captain spot. And again, I'm including Ramondre Stevenson. He's very involved in the passing game for the Patriots. So you can include him among the pass catchers. I am making this video on Wednesday evening. Currently, Jacoby Myers is questionable, so he's still in the player pool as of right now. I think he's trending toward playing, but he is listed as questionable, so we'll have to wait and see. Okay, I think I got all of them. Looks good. All right, so for this secondary group, I'm not going to give any boosts or anything. I'm just going to say if I have Mac Jones somewhere in the lineup, in the flex spot, I should say, I'm going to require at least one pass catcher from the Patriots. That's good enough. So I'm going to leave this group at this for now, just the Mac Jones groups. And then I'm going to test this out, see what the lineups look like, see if they correlate the way I want them to. So I'm going to use my projections, which are the Stokastic projections currently, and I'm going to crunch out 150 lineups. Well, would you look at that? The very first one I made, I see Josh Allen in the captain spot with 0 pass catchers from the Bills. So maybe my instinct was incorrect that I would get to plenty of Josh Allen without any boosts. But I'll keep looking through these. So Mac Jones, this first one, this looks good, paired with 2 primary pass catchers and the receiving running back. So that lineup correlates well enough. Third lineup, no quarterbacks involved. I think this lineup looks totally fine. Next, we've got Josh Allen with Diggs. That looks good. Mac Jones with Ramondre Stevenson, Jonnu, and Jacoby Myers. I think that looks fine. Josh Allen once again with no receiving options from the Bills, which when he's in the flex, I honestly don't really mind that, having Josh Allen in there with no receiving options. I am surprised that I'm not getting to more Bills. Maybe they don't project quite as well point per dollar as I thought they did relative to these Patriots options. This one looks good. We've got Diggs in the captain with Josh Allen on the flex. That I like that. Allen and Diggs looks good. Mac Jones at captain with multiple pass catchers looks good. Allen naked there. Mac Jones with multiple. Allen naked. Yeah, I'm not liking this. I'm seeing way too much of Josh Allen without any pass catchers from the Bills. So I am going to have to go ahead and make those groups. I'm going to make a Josh Allen captain group to start. Josh Allen in the captain spot, making my key player. And now I'm going to add these Bills receiving options to a secondary group. Okay. I'm still though I am still okay with having Josh Allen in the captain spot without any receiving options. I am though going to give boost to make it more likely that I don't end up with 20 of those in a 150 set. That would be too much. I want to be correlating even with Josh Allen. He has great rushing upside, but still he is also a voluminous passer. Most of the time I'd rather have at least one receiver in there with him. So I'm going to give some boost to these pass catchers. Diggs projects just a little bit better than Ramondre Stevenson, and he is more expensive than Stevenson. So, maybe giving him a little bit of a boost differentiates them a little bit, makes it more likely that I get 2 Diggs in those lineups rather than Stevenson. And the rest of these guys, I think I can just give them a little boost to make them look better than the Patriots options, point per dollar. Let's try that. And then I'll make a Josh Allen flex group as well. Okay, so I'm going to find Josh Allen in the flex, make him my key player, and then add all of these Bills receivers to a secondary group. Once again, And again, because he's in the flex, I can add them in the captain spot as well. Okay. Now here, I'm not going to require them. So once again, I'm going to click this only apply plus minus adjustments button for Josh Allen and then give little boosts here. I'm not going to give huge boosts here. I'm still okay with having some with Josh Allen in the flex without any Bills pass catchers. I'm just going to give them small boosts throughout. Even smaller to the running backs. Not sure if this is going to be enough to actually make a difference here. But I'll start there. Okay. And then I'll crunch again. All right. So right away, we see Josh Allen in the flex without any pass catchers. Looks like I may not have given enough of a boost. Second one, though, we've got Josh Allen, the captain. Now we have Devin Singletary in the flex. So we got somebody in there. Now we've got here. This one looks good. Josh Allen with multiple receiving options if you include Singletary there. Josh Allen here in the flex without anybody. So it does look like, and here, yeah, I'm running into it a lot. Looks like I'm still getting a lot of Josh Allen without any pass catching options, more than I'd like. So I'm going to go back and give slightly bigger boosts. Primarily in the flex. So I'm going to do a bigger boost here. Just the primary receivers. Okay. I just created a folder by accident. Hopefully that doesn't have any effect on anything. All right. I'm going to crunch it out again. Okay, so now we're seeing this looks better so far. Allen with Diggs, Allen and the captain with Singletary. Maybe I need to change that. Still getting Allen in the flex without anybody. This was I misread this one coming in. It looks like so. This is the process. So this is going trial and error to look at the lineups, making sure they look okay. Yeah, still getting plenty of Josh Allen in the flex. Allen at captain without any pass catchers. These boosts are not working quite as well as I'd like them to right now. All right, so now I'm going to go a little bit more drastic here. And same thing in the flex. I just clicked enable all groups. I don't think that actually does. I think they're already enabled unless you actually disable them. So I don't think that does anything, but I just want to make sure that this is working correctly. All right. Crunch it out again. This one I don't mind. Allen with just one pass catcher. I like that just fine. Again, I'm okay with seeing Allen without any pass catchers occasionally, but I definitely don't want it to be a good chunk of my lineups. Allen with Diggs looks good. Mac with multiple pass catching options like that. Josh Allen with Diggs. Mac with multiple. Here we've got Allen naked. Again, I'm okay with that in some. Allen with Diggs and Singletary. Allen with Diggs. Allen with Diggs. Allen naked here again. All right. Well, now I think before I go and change anything with correlations, I'm going to see maybe these guys are just not projecting well enough. These pass catching options from the Bills are not projecting well enough to make it into my player pool in general. So rather than going back and adjusting my correlations, I'm just going to see if I'm getting to enough of them. So that's the other part of my process. Going to go through position by position and make sure I'm getting exposures that I like on various players. Right away, I see I'm getting to a ton of Josh Allen, not much Mac Jones. Maybe I'd give Mac Jones a little bit of a boost. All right, getting to a ton of Ramondre Stevenson. Not a lot of these other running backs. James Cook. He's had a couple decent weeks in a row. A couple weeks we rushed 11 times for 86 yards, something like that. Looked very good. And then the last game, he only rushed 2 times for 4 yards, but also saw, I think, 5 targets. So he's kind of interested at 9.4%. Maybe I'd want to get above that number. Nyheim Hines has not been very involved in the offense for the Bills. He's been mostly a special teams player since joining the Bills through 4 games. I don't know that they're looking to change that. I don't know what their plans are for Nyheim Hines, but they traded for him. I think he's got some talent. I think I'm going to get him into my player pool. At 1.8, he's not currently in my player pool. I think I'd like him to be in my player pool at the very least, have some interest there. And then JJ Taylor. We saw Benny Snell worked out pretty well on Monday night. JJ Taylor in kind of a similar situation with Damian Harris out. JJ Taylor now the presumptive running back 2 for the Patriots. I think he played 27% of snaps for the Patriots in the last game that Damian Harris was out. Maybe I'd want him to be in my player pool. He would also obviously benefit if we see an injury to Stevenson or garbage time. So I'm going to get Taylor into my player pool. And then the wide receivers. You can see we've got a lot of wide receivers that are just not projecting well enough to get into my lineups a ton. So maybe once I adjust this, I will see more of them in those lineups with Josh Allen. All right, so I'm going to adjust Gabe Davis, currently only getting 8%. He's a very boom bust option at receiver. I'm going to give him a little bit of a boost. Devontae Parker, not getting too much at all. He played, I think, 85% of snaps, something like that, in the last game for the Patriots. So I think I'm going to treat him like he is a full go. I think he's fully healthy. Again, we're assuming that Jakobi Meyers is going to play tomorrow. I think, he's questionable right now, but I think it's safe. I shouldn't say safe. I think that it's likely that he's going to play. I'm going to sort by salary here. All right. Okay, so Gabe Davis, more expensive than Jakobi Meyers. Maybe I need to give him a bigger projection here to get a little bit more. Isaiah McKenzie only projected for 7.6, and he's more expensive than Devontae Parker. So maybe give him a little bit of a boost. He had a huge game the last time out. Nelson Aguilar, I got to say, this Patriots wide receiving core pretty muddled here. A lot of these guys, kind of hard to make out why they're getting different snap counts week to week. Sometimes they vary pretty drastically, but we saw Aguilar had a great game on Thanksgiving. Maybe he's earned a bigger role. Maybe I want more than 2.7%. Give him a little bit of a boost. Kendrick Bourne, again, kind of an unknown role here, but I'm going to give him a little bit of a boost. And then Tyquan Thornton, currently not in my player pool. I think I'd like him to be, though. I'm going to give him a boost. Same, Khalil Shakur played, I think, over 40% of snaps in the last game for the Bills. I'm going to give him a boost. I don't know much about Tanner Gentry. I'm going to leave him out for now. Tight ends, wow, getting to a ton of Jonnu Smith, not getting to a lot of Hunter Henry or Dawson Knox. I think I'd like to get more of these guys. I'll give them slight boost to get more than what I'm getting now. Jonnu Smith, I'm not going to adjust. I don't want to get to 59% of Jonnu Smith, but by adjusting all of these other players, I'm going to get to less Jonnu naturally, so I don't think I need to worry about adjusting him downward. And then Quentin Morris, not all that involved in the passing game, but I'll get him into the player pool at least. At kicker, yeah, I kind of suspected this, was getting a lot of Tyler Bass in my lineups. Not getting nearly as much Nick Folk. Maybe I'll give Folk a little bit of a projection boost, leave Tyler Bass where he is, and see if that number comes down a bit. Patriots defense getting to a ton. As I said, Josh Allen is actually leads the league in interceptions. He's thrown 11 interceptions so far this year. I think tied with Davis Mills. So he's thrown a lot of interceptions. Maybe there's opportunity for the Patriots at 3,200 to pay off that price tag. It's obviously a tough spot for them as well, playing against a great Bills offense. But Yeah, I'm probably not going to want 42%, but I'm going to leave the projection where it is and kind of see where it comes out. Maybe I'd like more than 11% of the Bills, though. Great defense against young quarterback. All right, I'm going to try this out. I'm just going to crunch it out and see what comes out now. Guys, we have a great World Cup no-brainer offer from BetMGM for first-time depositors in any state other than New York, Pennsylvania, or Missouri, and any Canadian province other than Ontario. Bet just $10 at BetMGM and you'll win $200 in free bets if any team scores a goal, not just in the game you bet on, but in the entire World Cup. Again, the bet must be a pregame moneyline bet. Just click the link in the description of this video to sign up. And I'm not going to go through 30 crunches here. I'm just going to do this a few times and kind of show you my general thought process, how I generally approach making lineups. All right, so first of all, I'm going to go through one more time these. All right, I'm still not getting to much Mac Jones. I'm still getting even more Josh Allen now. I'm going to actually lower Josh Allen's projection just a little bit. I don't think I want him in 100% of lineups. I also don't think it would be crazy if you did want Josh Allen in 100% of lineups. He is the highest projected player on this slate. But in a 150 set, I think I'd want less. Still getting to a ton of Ramondre Stevenson. Maybe I lower that just a little bit. Obviously projects great, but it's a tough matchup against the Bills. Don't know that I want him in all of my lineups or over 90%. Devin Singletary, primary running back for the Bills. Maybe I'll give him a little projection boost. And then James Cook. Okay, 5 was not enough to get him in many lineups. I'm going to just give him a full point projection boost. Same thing. Nyheim Hines, maybe give him a point, maybe a little more than a point. Try and get him in some lineups. JJ Taylor. Suspect I'm not going to want 26% JJ Taylor, but I'm going to get less of him because of changes I've made elsewhere. So I'm going to leave him where he is. All right, Diggs, reasonable. Davis looks reasonable. Jacoby Myers, that looks reasonable. Isaiah McKenzie. All right, so you can see there's a 4.62 difference in projection here, even after I gave McKenzie a boost, and he's only 400 less expensive than Jacoby Myers. So I should have seen that coming. I'm not going to get to a ton of him here. Maybe I give him a little bit of a projection boost. Maybe I'll get to some at 11, projection of 11. Devontae Parker then, maybe I give him a little bit of a projection boost. Aguilar. And then I'm going to leave these guys where they are and assume I'm going to get less because of the adjustments I've made elsewhere. Tight end, still not getting to much Dawson Knox. So we've got him for 9 at 6,200. All right, maybe I want to give him a little bit of a bigger boost. Henry as well. See, Jonnu, I was getting 59% previously. This looks more reasonable to me. If I got to 19%, I might be okay with that. And then Quentin Morris, I'm just going to leave him where he is. And I think this number will come down, something more reasonable. All right, still getting 22% Tyler Bass, not much Nick Folk. And still not getting to much of the Bills defense. Give them a little bit of a boost. And then crunch again. All right, well, now I'm not getting much of either of the defenses, it looks like. So going in reverse, maybe I'd give a little boost there. Keep in mind, all of these projections are relative to each other. So every time you're making an adjustment for one player, it changes essentially the projection for everybody else relative to that player. Just making little adjustments until I get to exposures that I like on each player. Still getting to way too much Khalil Shakir and Tyquan Thornton. Both, I think, are very interesting plays at this low ownership, but I don't know that I want to have 38% Khalil Shakir, 27% Tyquan Thornton. Seems a little bit aggressive. So I'm going to leave their projections once again where they are. I'm actually going to come down even more on Stevenson and Josh Allen just because I can see I'm getting 78% Stevenson in the flex plus 20%. So he's in 98% of my lineups. I don't want that. And then 20% Josh Allen plus 70. He's in 95%. So both of these guys I'm going to bring down a little bit more. Bring up Singletary a bit. James Cook. And leave JJ where he is. Still not getting into much Mac Jones at all. And I'm going to crunch this out again. All right, so now you can see I'm still getting to 93% Josh Allen, so maybe I'd adjust that. Sorry, I guess only 16% here. So we're getting, I guess, 89% Josh Allen. Still getting a little bit more Mac Jones now. Reminder is come down a little bit. Now you can see JJ Taylor. Finally, this number is coming down to more reasonable. Still, probably more than I want, but looking more reasonable as I adjust other players. Now I'm getting some Hines, some Cook. These guys still getting a lot, not getting much of these guys. So maybe I'd upwardly adjust these guys a little bit. This looks like a more reasonable number for Quentin Morris. Now I'm not getting much Jonnu at all after all the adjustments that I've made. So maybe I finally give Jonnu a little bit of a boost just to keep him more in line with where I want him relative to everybody else. Maybe Hunter Henry needs a bigger boost. Only 6% there. Dawson Knox. And then small adjustments here just to keep them more in line with everybody else. This will be the final crunch that I do, I think. And I just want to then look at the correlations a little bit. All right, so getting about 10% of each defense, somewhere in the teens with the kickers is probably fine. Now not getting to any Quentin Morris, 11% Jonnu, 24% Henry, 31% Knox. Looks fine. Now I'm not getting to much Diggs at all. Don't know if I love that. Gabe Davis has come down a bit. Now I'm getting more of these mid-range guys who I just gave boost to. Anyway, I'm not going to go through and crunch again, making the adjustments again. Just trying to show you generally my approach, how things change as I give boosts or negative boosts to players. And then I always check before I export. Just make sure that things are correlating the way I want them to. This very first lineup, I can see I've got Josh Allen with Dawson Knox and Devin Singletary. So we've got some correlation there. Diggs we've got Allen with 2 receivers. Now I've got Jones in the captain spot. I didn't require multiple pass catchers, but this looks like a Patriots onslaught. Looks good. Jones with multiple receiving options. Josh Allen in the captain with multiple receiving options. That correlates well. Jones with Jacoby Myers in the flex. That looks good. Josh Allen with Gabe Davis looks good. Oh, and also Dawson Knox. Jones in the captain with multiple receiving options. Allen in the captain with multiple receiving options if you include Nyheim Hines. These all look like they correlate fairly well. Now here's one where I've got Josh Allen naked. Again, I don't mind that so much with Josh Allen because he's a rushing quarterback, and I especially don't mind it in the flex. In the captain spot, it's a little bit thin to play Josh Allen without any receiving options, but it's certainly within the range of outcomes. And not a lot of people would do Josh Allen in the captain spot without any Bills receiving option. So if I have that a handful of times in a 150 set, I'd be okay with it. But Josh Allen in the flex, I think, is certainly a more likely outcome than in the captain spot. And then Allen with multiple. Mac Jones with just Ramondre Stevenson. Again, I think that's okay. Ramondre Stevenson is very involved in the passing game. This kind of scenario, the Bills are scoring multiple touchdowns through the air, and then maybe Ramondre Stevenson has one receiving touchdown for Mac Jones, and that's enough to make them both optimal. Josh Allen with Dawson Knox and Isaiah McKenzie. In general, I think I am okay with these lineups. All of these look like they could plausibly win. And I'm going to leave it at this. That is going to be my final crunch. I think, you can see my general process. I've shown you. I think the lineups look good enough to me. I think, I'm not done crunching. I would probably crunch several more times before I get to the actual exposures I like at each position, but just trying to show you my general process, which involves looking at each position, making sure that my exposures are about what I want them to be on every player, and then also looking at the lineups themselves to make sure that they're correlated in a way that I think the lineup has a chance to win. Anyway, good luck and hope you can find some success using this or a similar process.